I guess we can
Location.
stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second?
Oh, agenda's approved.
We have minutes to, we have minutes.
All in favor?
All in favor. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
So
That has, go ahead.
minutes are not complete yet. We're gonna bring them next month.
Okay.
Okay, so we will move on to item 2, which is the TX 25.04.01 outdoor storage. Katie King, Senior Planning Technician, has the floor.
Right. So this is TX 250401, where staff is proposing updates to the outdoor storage requirements in multiple ordinances in the development ordinance. The main goals of this text amendment are to improve the overall appearance of industrial business areas like Union West Business Park. And the reason for this request is that we have seen an increase of business requests for outdoor storage, and we've also seen some issues with existing outdoor storage areas affecting the neighboring properties. Some of our previous conditional zoning requests recently have also been due to the fact that they wanted outdoor storage on a lot size that didn't allow it, because our current ordinance only allows outdoor storage on lots that are 5 acres or more, unless it's an industrial property that requires it to be 3 acres or more. And we are proposing to eliminate that minimum lot size for outdoor storage and instead restrict where it's allowed, and only state certain zoning districts that they can put that in.
Okay.
And this is to help prevent the impact on residential areas. In my research of surrounding municipalities like Indian Trail, Waxhaw, and Matthews, none of those towns also have minimum lot sizes for outdoor storage. And so this would make us consistent with the surrounding jurisdictions. And then before I get into anything else, I just want to state that this does not affect existing outdoor storage areas, only new future areas. And existing outdoor storage would only have to come into compliance with these standards if they increase the outdoor storage area that they already have. All right, so Article 2.10-7 lists the structures and uses limited in yards. And this now qualifies that goods, materials, and equipment are all considered outdoor storage. And then we also created a definition for outdoor storage because our current ordinance is lacking a definition. And this also states a time period of 3 or more days that would be considered outdoor storage. Article 10.1-36 lists the general standards for outdoor storage. This specifies that we are limiting all outdoor storage to the listed zoning districts. It'll be prohibited in any other zoning district. And I'll show you the different uses on the use table at the end of the presentation. And then Part C is where the majority of the updates of this ordinance are. We now require that all outdoor storage must go through a minor site development plan review with staff, so that way staff can approve of the location, screening, and the use of outdoor storage. We also limit outdoor storage to the rear yard with the exception that it can be in the side yard if it's completely covered by the principal structure canopy or a shade canopy. and we limit the height to 12 feet. Outdoor storage also must be screened by an opaque fence or wall of at least 6 feet in height, and a chain link fence does not meet this requirement. And a buffer yard will be required on the outside of this fence or wall. A type D buffer is required for all outdoor storage, which is a minimum of 5 feet. And then if the property abuts a residential property, a type A buffer will be required, which is a minimum of 40 feet, which is the maximum screening, which will help protect residential uses. And Article 10.1-4 lists the additional standards for automobile, boat, and equipment repair services. This has just been updated to show, reflect the updates to the previous ordinance for outdoor storage. And the only difference for these is that we are allowing semi-trucks to be stored with a maximum height of 15 feet because the average size of a semi-truck exceeds the minimum of 12 feet that the rest of the ordinance requires. And Article 7.7-2, the only change to that is just to state that outdoor storage is now required to go through the minor site development plan review process. And then in the use table, basically, all of the commercial and industrial districts are where outdoor storage is going to be allowed, and all of those uses are highlighted in yellow. And then anything from agriculture to mixed use 2 is going to be restricted, and all of those uses have been highlighted in red with a strike through. And I can go over any of those in detail if you guys would like.
What were the areas highlighted in gray? Those would be affected by new changes?
The gray, you mean these over here?
Yeah.
Those were already like that. That just shows a specific section of the use table. So like those are all adult uses, and we have other ones, like these are all office uses.
Oh, okay.
But overall, staff does recommend approval of TX 250401 to improve the overall appearance of outdoor storage areas and ensure that we're protecting residential properties as well.
How would this work for like a golf course that stores like sand for its bunkers and it's in a parking lot that is on a main street that people would drive by and see? And if they just leave it currently in piles in the parking lot, how does that impact that?
So if it's an existing business, it wouldn't affect it at all unless they changed the size of their outdoor storage. But for a future business, they would have to follow these requirements, meaning that they would need to put up some type of fencing where they would store the sand for the golf course, and they would not be allowed to put it in parking lots because right here we've got that no parking spaces shall be used for outdoor storage purposes.
So I think you said this too, any existing property is grandfathered in. This is just for anything that's new.
Correct.
Okay.
Katie, on A, all those zoning codes are non-residential codes, correct?
For this one
The
here?
red part of A.
Okay, yes. Those are all
So in-
commercial and industrial.
So in B, where it has the exclusions, what is it talking to about when it refers to a resident? Would that be a tenant of the business? Or is that or is that not necessary because it's only affecting non-residential zoning?
It could refer to a tenant, or if an occupant, like a resident, left their vehicle at the business.
But what is a resident? If it's not a residential area?
Probably just like a resident of the town or a citizen of the town.
Okay.
Is your question to say if someone lives in South Carolina but they work in Stallings?
No, I'm
and
just
they're not a
saying, because
resident?
I think it would refer to like, to me, that makes it, would apply to like if there had previously been a residential area included in the exceptions, because no one's gonna live at the business.
I think they mean like it, I think she's right. The way I'm looking at it is that if it's a licensed motor vehicle titled to a resident and/or occupant of the property. So,
Clarify,
Go
I
ahead.
just want to say,
You
so
know.
let's say a business has outdoor storage, but they have licensed motor vehicles associated with that business.
yeah, like,
Those specific vehicles are gonna be excluded from.
I
that
understand that,
requirement.
but I would just like, what is the difference between a resident and occupant?
It's probably just a,
Like, I didn't know if we needed to strike resident off of this since it doesn't apply to residential zoning.
well, what if
think that
the, but what if the, well, now, I guess, I mean, I could see where they were talking about if you, the person used the car for the business and left their personal car there. Maybe? I mean, I don't,
I think the resident portion is still referring to just the
just the
occupant,
Okay,
occupant
okay.
and the people who own
like the
it.
business owner. You could change that to business owner for the licensed vehicles associated with the business, if you wanna make that recommendation.
Whatever would make it more clear. I just,
Yeah,
while we're
that is
doing
true.
amendments to make it more clear, did we, would that be technically, could that come up as a point of contention or something?
Because did we run into this with that issue a few months back where the people had rented their property, moved to South Carolina, run into a guy who was doing a car repair business at night illegally. He had like 12 cars there and that were being stored more than 2 or 3 days while he was working on them or painting them.
That one's a little bit different just because we don't allow automotive repair as a home occupation.
Right, I understand that.
But I think that could apply to this as if someone uses a commercial property.
Okay. Okay.
Can you explain again what is changing with semi trucks?
Yes, so basically all other outdoor storage is limited to a height of 12 feet, but the average height of a semi-truck or some other type of like work vehicle is usually above 12 feet. And we have lots of properties that already have semi-trucks stored as outdoor storage on their lots. And so we're trying to make the least amount of nonconformities as possible with this amendment. And so we added that 15 feet as maximum height for those to make sure that semi-trucks could still be used under the outdoor storage umbrella.
Is that saying like a covering above the truck or just at the height, that's the height of the vehicle?
Yeah, the height of the vehicle can't
Gotcha.
exceed the
Okay.
15 feet.
Yeah, because I think most semi-trucks are like 13 feet, 6 inches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, would that also like allow for like a piece of heavy equipment, like a large excavator for a landscaping company? I mean, where would they store that, like if it was over 12 feet?
Yes, so any type of equipment, as long as they're not using that equipment on the site, because the outdoor storage is just to store the vehicles,
Okay.
they could park it there as long as it was under that 15 feet.
Any other questions?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the request as presented for TX 25.04.01 outdoor storage.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need to do
Does it?
Yeah, statement of
consistency.
and reasonableness.
That's another motion?
You have to-
All right, so I'll also like to make a motion to find that TX 25.04.01 outdoor storage is both consistent and reasonable.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sounds good. Next on the agenda, agenda item number 3, overview of destination Stallings, and that is presented by Mr. Max.
Yes, hey. So I know I presented to the planning board a few months ago, but we have a lot of new members on planning board. And in 2023, I want to give a brief overview. We received a grant for $100,000 with a 25% match, so $125,000. The town had to pay $25,000 to get that grant. but it covered updates in transportation related to the Silver Line project so that we could update our small area plan, we could update our comprehensive land use plan, and incorporate a TOD overlay, which is a transportation-oriented development overlay, into our development ordinance to guide development. So that grant period is coming to a close, and I talked to our land use attorney about bringing that back to council for approval. And he just said that since we have new planning board members and we didn't receive a formal recommendation as well last time, what I'm requesting tonight is a formal recommendation from council for this plan. But I know that it's new to a lot of the members, so I wanted to briefly go over it as well. For this plan though, I'm only requesting recommendation for the comprehensive land use plan update and the small area plan update. A comprehensive land use plan is a vision and guide for the next 25 years for the town of Stallings. The last time we adopted one, this one was in 2017. By state statute, we have to keep it up to date reasonably, in a reasonable time frame. And that reasonable time frame is historically 10 years, and we're getting close to that mark. So this update would meet that state statute. Additionally, the small area plan that we adopted in 2017 for the Independence Corridor did not incorporate the Atrium Hospital, and it didn't incorporate the Silver Line at the time. So that's what the update for the small area plan does include. So I included the presentation that was presented to council in December from Bolton and Mank, which is our consultant that we used for the small area plan and comprehensive land use plan and TOD overlay. So I'll just call it a Silver Line plan update. And I briefly wanted to go over just the location of the Silver Line again. It's along Independence Corridor. And it's an extension from the 29-mile light rail corridor, stretching from Charlotte. And right now, Mecklenburg County is pursuing a state legislative update to place a 1-cent local sales tax referendum on the 2025 ballot. So it's still in contention, consideration. I'm like trying to think of the word, thank you. So a lot of people think that the red line has killed the Silver Line, but it's still under consideration right now. I know that one of the Mecklenburg County representatives for Matthews brought up that, and I read some articles last week on the Silver Line project.
So it's not dead?
It's not currently.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Do they have somebody in Raleigh and possibly Washington lobbying? I mean, because I know they have people for the red line.
So
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to any representatives on the Silver Line yet, but I will talk to our consultant to find that information out for the council meeting.
We need to kind of get, I mean.
Get our
I
district
understand
guys
the red
involved,
line's
state guys
important,
involved,
but-
yeah.
From what I've read, there is a lobbyist in the state capitol. I don't know about Washington, though.
Yeah, I know there is one for the red line. I don't know if he's they have.
But the
they don't
Silver
really
Line,
talk
though.
up the Silver
Yeah.
Line.
But a really good
I
thing to
won't know.
have would be hopefully an adopted plan to incorporate the Silver Line.
Yes.
So that we could lobby it. So our period for our grant ends at the end of June, so July 1st this year. So I need to have a decision. It doesn't have to be adopted, but I would say we need to have a decision because we need to figure out if we're gonna move forward, if we're gonna do any edits. And if these things are not amended, we need to figure out ways to incorporate these amendments in the future. Comprehensive land use plans are not cheap, and we're required to keep them updated by state statute. The 2017 comprehensive land use plan was $100,000. So I'm thinking upwards to $150,000, $200,000 in today's money, or 2027 money, if we have to update it in 2027. This is buying us more time to figure out plans for the future, this update.
Can you share, Max, you make it look very simple with your presentation. Where does $100,000 go in preparing this plan?
Well, so the consultant, I personally have not done a comprehensive land use plan from start to finish as a director, but I was involved in the previous one. It takes a lot of they do a lot of metric testing, so data collecting, public outreach, The consultants are really expensive to create and draft these plans, so they do a lot of renderings. Renderings, for some reason, cost like upwards of
lot of
like $10,000-15,000 per rendering.
They also they also have like volunteer people from Stallings to lend their views, I guess, so that they can at least, and then they try to have like outreach meetings so
You were
that,
on board during the
Yeah,
comprehensive land use
2 of
plan
them.
process, yeah.
fun. But they try to get all the, just regular residents. And you don't have to be, on the, involved in the government. They just go out to get people and their views, where they want to see, what kind of a town they want to live in. They give you all that information. And they, take that along with the statistical and other information that they get from, census and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Back in 2016, we did a large study for the most recent comprehensive land use plan. We put signs out in front of all the neighborhoods, and it did include plans for a new ordinance and different slides and everything. So we did put those signs out and showed the plans for how the town was going to progress with small area plans and the TOD overlay, Stallings Development Ordinance, excuse me. But that was back in 2016, and we have a lot of new residents. I was only here for a few months when we did that, when I was starting my career. So a lot of that information is very vague to me. So I have to call my old planning director and ask her what was the process and things like that. That was done for this comprehensive land use plan. But there are a lot of things that go into it, and I would let you know that before we ask council for that money, I'll bring it to planning board and let you know, here's our parameters, and ask for a recommendation for a new comprehensive land use plan. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. But I'm not at the point yet. Excuse me. But I am here. I wanted to show you the location of the study area that we looked at. Additionally, there's a bunch of scope, and we did public outreach. We did surveys, questionnaires. We put it online, and we also presented the new plan at the Stallings Fest as well. And then we had presented it to Atrium Hospital and NCDOT last year before we presented it to council. So this is the main study area. And this one just kind of goes over the comprehensive land use plan types that we updated. We updated the whole entire area to make it walkable activity center, which incorporates a mixed use type of future land use category. I would say the yellow is the study area. If you can orient yourself on Stallings. This is our previous comprehensive land use plan. Excuse me, small area plan. I'm gonna mix those words up tonight. I apologize. This was adopted in 2017, and this is a great small area plan. I brought the Atrium Hospital here and incorporated for the Monroe Expressway, but it doesn't account for the Silver Line. And it doesn't account for a lot of the new neighborhoods like Bailey Mills, Stone Creek, and future expansion of the areas. So we do have a new small area plan layout. It's really large, so it's gonna be in two parts on the screen. This is the new small area plan. It incorporates a large grid street network, the Atrium Hospital, and the Silver Line plans, and all of our new neighborhoods. It also incorporates future areas like, I know a lot of people were concerned, before I say that, also it has 3D modelings of what the plans could look like based on, this is looking north to the expressway from the hospital on what that street grid network could look like. A rendering of what it could look like on the street as well. And this is from north to looking south. And then this is the other half of the small area plan. I wanted the consultant to look at Smith Farm. And the only reason is we don't have a plan for the farm if a developer were to come in the future. Nothing's happening to the farm at the moment. We're not making any changes. But I did want to incorporate some sort of plan on that the town had adopted in case a developer did come. Because I didn't want to go in blind with the developer and not have any adopted plan for that area. So it incorporates still agricultural uses and a lot of open space. I know it looks very dense, but it is a mixed-use category, TOD overlay, and a walkable activity center, and that meets all of our different future land use guidelines. And then the primary, this is the main bulk, the small area plan is the main bulk of the adoption. We also, I also incorporated a new future land use map, which incorporates this area as all walkable activity center, which is mixed use. And then we updated the entire comprehensive land use plan, and we updated, forgot to include in the email specifics pages that we updated, but we updated 8 pages to incorporate the new small area plan and not reference the other old small area plan. That's the main updates. It also includes a bridge document. So this entire document was in the link. And sorry if the links were hard to open. They take a long time to open. We just couldn't include it on the attachment in the email, and also on the website's too large. So this whole bridge document will be adopted with a recommendation as well, which has contents for introduction to how we got here, the study process, study area, and this also includes the small area plan and the comprehensive land use plan update. So I went through that really fast. So I want to make sure you guys, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer any questions on the study.
Not in particular to this study, but in your memo, you did mention how recent state legislation will impact local municipalities.
Yeah.
And I was curious what impact you foresee that having here.
Yeah. So currently there's a bill going through legislature to not allow towns to do downzoning. So for example, a downzoning would be from commercial to residential, and wouldn't allow a town to do that voluntarily. It would have to be voluntarily by a property owner, would have to come to the town to do that.
Why would they do that?
It's just to limit more government power on zoning. And the TOD overlay that we drafted an entire Article 24. It's a brand new article. I think I also included that back in November in an email for review, but I'm not bringing that here today because our land use attorney said that may be considered downzoning because we're limiting development opportunity on the parcels for the Silver Line. So we're trying to get them, developers to allocate that land, and they won't be able to use the specific land for the Silver Line.
Is this going to give developers a free rein?
So there are different things going on in that bill as well, and I'm not 100% ready to talk about it, but I do know downzoning's incorporated into that, and developers are always bringing in House bills to limit government zoning powers. I'm not saying this is going to be pass or not pass, but there's always something in legislature going through, and our attorney advised us not to adopt something at the moment while that bill's in play. Because state legislature has not made a decision yet on that bill. So as future planning board meetings, I'll probably end up bringing that back to you if that bill is not passed.
So as I read it, the hypothetical would be like, if you wanted to take something that was mixed use and make it residential, you'd be downzoning it. And you would need the consent of the property owner to do that. We couldn't just do it unilaterally as a body.
Correct. So, for example, we wouldn't be able to do like a large mass rezoning and downzone properties, but we could upzone properties.
Right.
But that's contentious, and I think our land use attorney, I argued in the opposite. I think we are technically upzoning these properties because we're making higher value and trying to market towards Silver Line. But I'm not a lawyer. So there's different sides to every story. So hopefully that was clear. Sorry if I'm rambling about that. Do you have any specific questions about the comprehensive land use plan update and the small area plan update?
I'm trying to find where I read it earlier, but it used the language as a town center for that area, is that in addition to a town center like where we are right now, or it would be an either-or situation, or both, or?
So I can't specifically remember exactly where that is, but
Yeah.
it's trying to make, I would say, I probably would want to change that language to make it more of a node.
Okay.
So more of a mixed-use Silverline node for the town. So in our current comprehensive land use plan, we use the node language. And so the town center is a node, then the Independence Corridor is a node, the school's a node, and the Idlewild Corridor is a node. So this would be, I think that's exactly what it's referring to, just this area.
I understand, I just didn't know if it was, you know, are we looking at moving to where that's gonna be the heart of the town, or is, you know, or is this, or we just don't?
I don't believe that's the goal. That's not the goal, but we are trying to create more opportunities for that
Right.
area.
And I just didn't, you know, just concerned also maybe we're spreading our efforts so thin, you know, that things don't ever get done because we're doing little bits here and there instead of focusing on, you know, having one.
One at
Because
a
I think a nice town center would be such a great thing for the town to have for its identity.
Yeah, of
And if
course.
we're, you know, spreading our efforts all over the place, it would be, it
Yeah.
could make that budgetary, you know,
Of course.
make it take longer to do.
So, I know, definitely agree with you. I think a lot of our efforts do seem stretched thin, but I think, for this plan, the plan's so outdated that we're trying to make it sure it's up to standards, and then probably, we're still set on focusing on town center. The big thing is sewer capacity for town center and this Independence Corridor. But I'm not ready to get into that tonight, but that's, gonna give us some time to focus on them.
Yeah, I'd love to have all of the above, you know, and I'd like to see something in my lifetime.
Yeah, but just a sneak peek of maybe one of the next future meetings, we have, conditional zoning in the town center corridor.
Okay.
And that is online as well if you want to sneak peek. But that's not coming to planning board until June? I don't know yet. Tentative.
Does it involve an adjacent property to this building?
No.
What is the status of the brewery?
So the status of that is they're still working on a contract
Okay.
right now. But I hate bringing you back to this, but this
Yeah,
doesn't have to
sorry.
do with that, sorry. I would love to answer those questions after the meeting.
Okay, that'd be great.
One more question on these plans. So we've talked a lot about hypothetical stuff today. What are the next steps for getting this to where you want it to be before July 1st?
Yeah, so any recommendations from planning board, any information that you're wanting to see additionally on the plans while we're still in this grant period? And ultimately, a recommendation to bring to council, because I'm hoping to get a council to adopt it before the July 1st deadline, so we can still make some edits to it while we can, or so we don't have to allocate any additional funds for it. And I think that we've done a lot of edits to it already. We've been working on it for 2 years. And I think the recommendation from the planning board will really help solidify some decisions from council members. But I realize that the Silver Line's still contentious. It's like 15 years away. And I know some of the council and public, sorry, I don't want to call out council, excuse me, public is concerned about the Silver Line and the Red Line and the funding. But we do have to update our comprehensive land use plan anyways. And I really do want to guide the future development towards the Silver Line. But if it doesn't happen within, the next 10 years, I mean, we're gonna have to update our comprehensive land use plan in 10 years regardless. So we could still make those amendments and remove this. I don't want to, but remove the Silver Line in 10 years or something like that if the development doesn't go that way. Yes.
My only point would be, is there gonna be additional street lighting along the way on that? As far as currently, as you come off that exit,
So
Stallings, there's not a lot there to begin with.
It's dark.
I'm not 100% sure on the
It's
street
very,
lighting.
very dark.
It is dark.
What exit are you
And-
talking about?
Right here.
Stallings exit off of 74.
Yeah. It's dark.
And you've got the hospital right there too, which
Yeah.
is the parking lot lights are one thing. But the road itself, and you've got that entrance where you get the little sign that says it's for the community college, and there's no streetlights on that road at all.
Yeah.
so it's darker than you know what. So my contention would be, are we gonna see some lighting?
So I don't know if it specifically states anything about lighting, but we do have renderings for what the street network is gonna look like and what the streets are gonna look like. Our hope is to get this street network grid, to these standards, and the town would adopt those roads, and then the town could provide additional lighting at that time. We can't regulate the NCDOT roads, but
No, I know you
Yeah.
can't, I'm just saying, can we throw it to them and say, hey, are you guys gonna help us on this? On the NCDOC side.
I see.
Looking
We
for
can,
some assistance in that direction,
Of
because I
course.
think the biggest thing with NCDOT is they seem to be in their own little cocoon, and they keep pushing the towns. When I asked the question, why isn't there lighting on 74 from Margaret Wallace, which is still part of Charlotte, all the way through
Yeah.
Union County? And the response I got was some CSA lighting project, and also that it's the town's responsibility to put their own lights up. And I said, well, why isn't the lights past there? Something's going on there that shouldn't be. And so I didn't get a more definitive answer than that. So that's would be my question is, with this kind of development going in, why wouldn't that intersection and those streets have regular lights on there currently that would get there before this even got to that point?
I see. So as part of the study, I can guarantee I didn't talk about lights. I apologize, I just didn't.
I'll help you.
Yes. So I don't believe that this is incorporating lights, but, I hate reiterating myself, but, you know, the goal is for the town to hopefully adopt this street network when it's adopted, excuse me, when these new developments are constructed, and we would hopefully be able to put more streetlights, because we would own the roads. For NCDOT roads, we can still make a recommendation to add more lights, but you know how NCDOT works. Yeah,
I'm thinking having developers throw in.
yeah, we could make a recommendation to incorporate more lighting elements into the small area plan and the comprehensive land use plan goals. You can definitely do that if you make the recommendation tonight to add that, and I'll present that to council too. If that helps.
Make the recommendation to add additional study.
Well, wait, before you do that, I would say, you would want an overall recommendation for the plan to recommend adopting this or not, and with the amendments, or not to recommend, but also adding amendments. You could do that too. Because I'm seeking a recommendation for the overall plan tonight.
Are we ready to proceed on that?
And that is up to you guys. If you guys need more time or more information, you can also make that motion. We have one buffer month, but just next month is gonna be probably a full house in here, so.
Well, I move that we recommend that this goes to council.
I second.
So can I make one
Yes.
motion, or make a recommendation to your recommendation? I recommend adopting the small area plan and the comprehensive land use plan amendments for the Silver Line integration plan,
Okay.
with the recommendation that we also incorporate more lighting elements for this plan as well. Does that help
Yes.
address your question? And you can make that, you can agree to that motion if you'd like, and then someone could second.
Okay. I move that we adopt this as Max presented it.
Yes.
Second that?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That's it. Okay, so you can adjourn if you'd like, and up to you. Yep.
Can you bring up the small area plan, please?
Yeah, of course. The updated one?
The updated one,
Yeah, of
yes.
course. Let me just pull this. So there's a few different parts. The main one is the green small area plan. It's hard to show on one page.
Yeah.
So this is one half of the small area plan. This one focuses on the Silver Line and the atrium updates and the current neighborhoods that are already incorporated, like Stone Creek and Bailey Mills, that have been built. So this is the one that is gonna be like shown off on a poster board.
That's 74 going through the middle.
Correct, yes. And then these are just supplemental renderings. So this is what the street would look like facing north, including what the renderings could look like on the ground. Same thing with this one. And then this is the other half to the small area plan. And this includes Smith Farms, which is the southeast quadrant, and how that could be incorporated in the future. And then there's a bunch of different renderings to help people kind of orient themselves. Like this is the street type network. And these are different street networks that the town would be able to adopt or help a developer plan. And these are roads that the town could adopt, except the ones in black, because those are NCDOT roads. And then these are the right-of-way cross sections for each of those roads. So with that recommendation, you're adopting all these different guidelines. Does that help? Okay. And then this is all online as well, share it with your community residents. And I plan on bringing it to council next month for adoption to update our new plans.
Any other questions? Concerns?
Nope. Good.
For a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All in
All
favor?
those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting closed.
Jackie's got to sign the one,
Adjourned.
you got to sign the thing that was attached.